crazy fans out there, I'm Hyperactive.
And I'm Grenado.
And this is the ShellShock Society Show! Okay, so on today's show, we're going to be doing our Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice spoiler review. This show today is going to have spoilers. So, if you're wanting a review without any spoilers in it, go to this link. To start off the note, I kind of want to go into the reason why we gave this one a bomb. It got a 1 bomb rating from us. You know, it's not a bad thing, but it really has a lot to do with Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I really hated the guy. I mean, I don't know how you felt about it, but right off the bat, I had a hard time getting into his character.
Yeah, I stated from the get-go in our pre-analysis video, pre-analysis fight video, that I didn't like the casting choice. I can honestly say that I gave him a chance in his first couple scenes. I was trying to give him a chance for his version of Luthor, but ultimately I hated Eisenberg as Luthor.
I couldn't take him serious as Lex Luthor. I mean,
no.
I personally felt he came across as a Joker type character.
Yeah, the personality was all over the place. It was very much more manic and much more like the Joker or even a Riddler type of persona. Nothing like a Lex Luthor that we've ever seen before, and nothing like a Lex Luthor that we care to see. Let's just be honest. This film was a very serious tone film, and I feel like if you're going to try and say, well, he was the lighter tone of it, absolutely not. He made it worse. That Lex Luthor character should have been serious and not a fucking nut job the way he was portrayed. And I think if he was, honestly, I think it would have improved the film a little bit.
Yeah.
Mr. Boom disagrees.
Yeah, Mr. Boom, shut up.
Mr. Boom thinks Jesse Eisenberg is hip, and that he brought life to an old and dying character.
I give Jesse Eisenberg a nuke.
Yeah, we would definitely give Jesse Eisenberg a nuke. Okay, we nuke that portrayal of the character. Now, we do not nuke the movie. The movie gets a bomb because they have Eisenberg playing Luthor. A next point we'd like to make is that it's an uncharacteristic thing, but we see Batman using guns in this film. You could write off some of it, as in when he's using the machine guns against Superman, because, come on, Batman knows that Superman isn't going to go down from some bullets. So I feel like it's more of a distraction and testing him type thing.
I mean, some people will argue that in the video games and even in the other movies that his car or his Batwing has guns, sometimes even missiles, but inanimate objects versus a real living human being, that's a whole different case.
Yeah, it's a little different. The thing is, one thing I thought was really violent about this Batman that I kind of didn't like it wasn't even the part of him branding people. That part didn't bother me, that he branded guys.
See, that was the part that kind of got to me. I didn't really like that.
You didn't like that? See, that didn't bother me. The part that bothered me was the very violent scene where his car grabs a hold of a bad guy's car, which he already smashed up, and then violently drags it behind the Batmobile as it goes boom, boom, and slams around between buildings and all over the place. I couldn't help but think that those guys are going to look like fucking scrambled eggs when they came out of there. I mean, it was kind of a horrific scene. I thought. I mean, it was a fun action scene. I'm not going to say it wasn't fun to watch as far as an action scene, but Batman doing it was kind of the thing that made me feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, that might have been crossing the line a little bit.
Now, this is supposed to be old Batman, who's been doing this for 20 years, so maybe he's getting a little jagged.
I'd like to point out that the first half of the film felt really slow on a build-up. It seemed like it jumped back and forth between Batman and Superman quite a bit. Like pieces of a puzzle. It was hard to follow up until they concluded it at the end of the movie, which I could appreciate after seeing the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, obviously it's going to jump between Batman and Superman. But the first part of the film, it was a bit confusing at parts. And it did. I mean, there's a lot going on, but it felt slow story-wise, for sure. But I think, the second half of the film picked up, and I really enjoyed the second half of the film. In fact, because of the second half of the film, I was willing to forgive and get over how the first half of the film made me feel.
Yeah, same here. I know after the movie, I went back and kind of looked at it, and it almost seemed like he was trying to pitch the movie as like a detective puzzle for you to figure out that first half as to what he's building towards at the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one scene in particular that I really wish they would have went a different way. So there's the wheelchair character who loses his legs during the whole Zod versus Superman fight, okay? And then we see a month later, and he's down on his luck, and, you know, like I said, he's in a wheelchair. Well, Lex Luthor finds him and gives him a fancy new wheelchair, and then also kind of helps him put him on this platform of this whole Superman needs to be taking...
He has him go in front of the Senate to testify before Superman.
Right. And so there's a whole scene where Superman's at this hearing, and you see the wheelchair dude off the side of his fancy new wheelchair. Now, what happens is, if you haven't already seen it, or if you already know, what happens is he explodes and kills everybody but, of course, Superman in not just the room, but I think the building. And then this kind of gets pinned on Superman somehow. But it explodes, and it's a big deal and whatever. And I would have rather seen, I was really hoping to see, even though I didn't think it was going to happen, I was really hoping that wheelchair was going to turn into like a huge exoskeleton around the guy, and he was going to become Metallo. Because I was really hoping to see like a Metallo Superman fight right there, just out of nowhere in the courtroom. They still could have killed everybody in there, you know, by accident and collateral damage, which I think would have meant more and been a bigger impact against Superman, the whole collateral damage, and because Superman's around now, it's creating a higher level of villains, you know, and all this stuff.
The superhero complex, that as the superheroes come out of the woodwork, so do the villains.
Yeah, and I think another thing I think is I feel like that would have been an action point that would have helped in the story, because that was one of those points. That was one of those scenes in that first half of the film that I feel like didn't really like. We could have used an action scene, you know, that would have made the film entertaining again and pick up.
The wheelchair explosion that was a plot twist I did not see coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured something was going to happen, but not the whole Senate being blown up.
Kind of a surprise.
One of the negative aspects, and that is all the haters on Superman, on the Superman performance. I personally thought that Cavill did a great job as Superman. Great performance. And he showed a lot of aspects of the human emotions that we feel as people.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people calling him an emo Superman. And what's really going on here is this, okay? We got a Superman character who's in this damned if he does, damned if he don't kind of situation. If he does things, you got people that love him and cherish him for it and are happy that he's using his powers for good. But then when he does things, you know, people are also saying that you shouldn't be out running around doing this stuff. Who gives you the right to be a hero? And then if he doesn't do it, people get hurt and killed, and then people are wondering where's the savior that they know exists. And I just feel like there's a real negative aura that people are trying to put around this portrayal of Superman. And I think a lot of it is because they keep trying to compare it to Christopher Reeve's Superman or any other film version of Superman. And that's one thing that really upsets me, is I feel like a lot of reviewers don't understand the character, first of all. They don't understand the comic book history or any other version of it aside from the film version. And because this is a darker film, they just are upset about it because it's too serious. There's nothing wrong with it being too serious, okay? This Superman was actually more emotional because he's torn between two kind of decisions that he has to make. And that's tough. That would be tough on anybody. He's got the whole world literally in some ways on his shoulders. And one thing that I really can't get over is the fact that so many people are looking at this film and they're not happy with it because it's not a happy film. It's too serious. There's not enough jokes and humor in it.
It's drama, people. Get over it. This
isn't Marvel, okay? We love Marvel films. We really enjoy Marvel films. But we do not believe that DC should be trying to do Marvel-type films either. They shouldn't be trying to do exactly the same thing Marvel's doing. To a degree, obviously Marvel's doing really great and doing an amazing job. But I think DC should try and do something a little different still. Not too far different, too drastically different, because obviously that hasn't worked in the past for some of their stuff. But I think they're on the right on the right track right now, because part of their choice decisions in the past were changing contents and context of the characters that were away from the comics. They are actually being more like situations in the comics, and they're making things more like situations in the comics. And that's what's making the characters great, and I think the fans especially will appreciate, or do appreciate.
Exactly. All you fanboys out there that are hating on this, stop! It's all the countless movies that we've seen, we always bitch about them changing aspects that we love about the comics, and now they're catering to us.
Yeah. Don't be going, oh, we're not getting enough, and then all of a sudden, oh, that's too much. Shut the fuck up. All right, so here's the thing. Marvel's got the more lighthearted films, the more Disney kind of S films, okay? But let's keep something in mind. If Deadpool would have followed the same cookie-cutter kind of feel and done the same thing and held back, Deadpool would not have been as amazing, okay? So yes, I congratulate DC in trying to go their darker tone. And I think they should. Because honestly, people are going to get fucking sick and tired of superhero films if they're all made the same goddamn way.
So for all you people out there that are still stuck on this Superman isn't like Christopher Reeves, go watch Superman 3 or Superman 4 and then come back and watch this movie. And I'll tell you which one you're going to like better.
Alright, I really needed to calm down after that.
Mr. Boom thinks Superman 3 and 4 are the best superhero films ever made. Boom!
So the film's title is Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now I've seen other reviews and I've heard people talk about how they're upset that the whole fucking movie apparently isn't a fight scene. Okay, that it didn't feel like Batman versus Superman. And calling it Batman versus Superman was a trap. It was really just Dawn of Justice. No. Majority of the movie was Batman versus Superman.
For you simple-minded people that can't wrap your mind around the concept, this wasn't it wasn't just a physical battle. It was a battle of ideas, an ideological battle of whose methods are more effective throughout the movie. You see Batman criticizing Superman, and Superman criticizing Batman likewise.
Mm-hmm. So, it is Batman versus Superman. It's not... The movie's not called Batman versus Superman fucking 2.5 hour fight, okay? And I was actually happy with the fight. People complain that, we only get an 8-minute fight. No, I think the build-up to it was fine, and I think the fight was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed that fight.
And realistically, if Batman was going to fight Superman, he's going to try to end it sooner than later, because Batman in a prolonged battle with Superman will lose.
This fight proved one thing, I think, too. Our pre-analysis fight was right. It was absolutely right. This fight was not... There was superpowers, and there was gadgets, and there was skill.
And there's kryptonite.
There's kryptonite. But this fight had more... It was more about the characters' personalities than it was about what they were able to do. That's just the honest goddamn truth, okay? What did we say during our pre-fight analysis? Batman was there to win.
And Superman's there to be a good Boy Scout and try to subdue Batman.
Yes. So, Superman was there, and he's doing the good thing, and he's trying not to actually kill Batman, because that's how Superman is, okay? That's this personality. You can't say Superman would have won the fight because he could do this and that. That's not who Superman is, okay? You have to take into account their personalities, and that's what we did. And that's what happened. Superman's personality was, I'm not going to actually want to kill this guy. I want to try and get him on my side or convince him. Batman's fight, the whole scenario was, I'm going to kill this son of a bitch. So he played to win. And it was some good close calls, back and forth. And I think it was a really good fight.
It did. It went up and it went back and forth, back and forth. I remember the first time Batman hit Superman with the kryptonite gas. And he hits him and he bleeds. Mm. And how does Superman respond? He knocks his ass into the wall.
Yeah. Now, one thing that we both agree, and we're getting kind of tired of, is the whole people really hating how the word Martha was thrown out and how they have the same name mom, so now they're best friends. That is oversimplifying what happened in that scene.
It wasn't like, oh my gosh, besties! No, it was a wake-up call for Batman out of his bloodlust. He was out to kill. He was going to kill Superman without a doubt. He was there ready to do it.
Martha was an obvious trigger word. And the word Martha, the name Martha was set up in the beginning of the film, with the whole quick little origin on Batman and how Thomas Wayne said Martha right before he dies. So, there's a lot of things alluding to that. So, him saying, Superman saying, save Martha, was just a trigger thing to Batman. And we feel like people aren't really taking in the emotional, psychological thought process, and they're just oversimplifying what happened in that scene. Now, the other thing is, I feel like, I personally believe this. If Superman would have said, save my mother, I think the same effect would have happened. I think Batman would have stopped, and he would have been like, wait, what's wrong with your mom? Something happened to my mom. What happened to your mom? So, yeah, there's that common ground kind of thing going on. And then that right there, I think a lot of people miss on too, is that Batman sees Superman as a human being.
He's no longer just someone that's above the law.
Yeah, he sees him as a human. He sees humanity in him when he says that. When he cares for his mother. That's what I believe. That's what I choose to honestly believe.
Okay, so let's talk about another aspect of the movie that I absolutely love, that just charges me every time I think about it, and that's the cameos in this movie. We got to see several new superheroes that we haven't seen in the cinematic movie universe yet in the last decade or two. We got to see Flash, we got to see Wonder Woman, we got to see Aquaman, and we got to see Cyborg. 4 different superheroes that made cameos with these 2 epic guys.
Now, granted, 3 of them, it was really quick cameos. Wonder Woman wasn't so much a cameo. But her part was very enjoyable. I love that we see an old photo of her. I don't remember what the date was, but I think it was World War I. And one thing I think a lot of people kind of overlook or forget is she's immortal. That's one of her powers, her abilities is she's immortal. And so it's kind of cool that this idea that, she's been out in the man's world before.
She's looking pretty good for how old she is.
Yeah, and she's probably seen a lot of things over the centuries or whatever. I really enjoyed her in the Doomsday fight. There's a point where she gets knocked down and she kind of smiles like she was really enjoying that fight. I thought that was very amusing.
Yeah, she really got into that.
Another thing I really liked about this film was Doomsday. I like how Doomsday was portrayed. I like how they showed his metamorphosis and how he becomes stronger when you kill him. And he just comes back and he's just like even tougher. And I like the shockwave kind of almost like nuclear bomb explosion ability he had. I really liked that. I thought that was a cool thing. I don't remember them ever doing. I don't know if they've ever done that in the comics. I'm not used to him ever seeing him portrayed that way.
I don't remember. Did that happen after they nuked him?
I don't remember. He might have actually. I guess he did only do that. I think after they nuked him.
So did he?
So he absorbed that power. I guess.
So maybe that's what happened. I don't know.
But it was really cool. I really enjoyed that scene and when he blows up and Superman and Wonder Woman can take it because I remember thinking, oh shit, what's Batman gonna do? and watching Batman hide and duck, get the fuck out of the way. So one thing that I thought was cool also about the whole Doomsday and Superman fight was when Superman takes him up into space and then the military nukes him because that's
how typical of the president. It's like, hey, here's our hero, let's nuke him.
Anyways, so yeah, that was amusing. But what I think we both really enjoyed was Superman. That whole part was like Superman was pretty much dead, almost looking.
That whole effect of Superman shriveled up and old.
Yeah, it just kind of like almost decaying. And then the sun comes around, and like hits him, and then he starts healing. That was kind of a cool scene. I liked that. I like how it kind of played out and stuff. It was cool. I enjoyed that whole little scene right there. And I think true fans also would have really enjoyed that scene.
I agree. Another really exciting and shocking aspect of the movie that we got to see, and it was a glimpse or an alternate future that Batman has during the movie. In this dream sequence, we see Batman squaring off against Superman and his forces. And there's a lot of different things that we see that are happening, going on here. And there's a lot of things, if you didn't pay attention, that, really stick out.
Superman is, he's snapped. He's got these paramilitary kind of guys running around with the Superman logo, on their, etched on their, or stitched on their shoulders. We have Batman using guns, which I'm hoping that it's going to be kind of like the Dark Knight Returns story. And I'm not talking about Dark Knight like the movies. I mean the comic books, where Batman, when he would use guns, it was rubber bullets. So I'm really hoping that later on in another movie they'll go back to that future sequence, and they'll just for my own sake of just because Batman doesn't use guns, and so it'd be nice to see them explain it off like that. I would enjoy it. On the other hand, maybe that's just what we're seeing. It's not just a world where Superman snaps, but it's a world where Batman is pushed to the point where he starts using guns.
Now, there were these other things I saw in the movie that didn't they look like parademons?
Oh yeah, parademons. I thought for a second maybe Blue Beetles, but I was like, no, those got to be fucking parademons. And what do parademons mean?
Darkseid, people, and Darkseid is awesome.
Mm-hmm. I believe he's one of your favorite villains of the Justice League.
He is. He is my favorite villain. I mean, he's got the brute strength that Superman has, and the cunning that Batman brings to the Justice League. I mean, that's a horrible combination for a villain to have.
Yeah.
And
much like Dr. Doom, he owns his own land. But unlike Dr. Doom, he runs a whole fucking planet. A planet full of parademons. These super strong, super augmented, mindless soldiers, and they're quite devastating, especially in swarms. And I think it would be really cool to see a Darkseid, or the planet that he's from, Apocalypse, invade Earth and see the Justice League come together and have to battle it. I think it would be really exciting.
Maybe that's why Lex Luthor's so crazy, Yeah,
the one thing that would make me definitely forgive that whole Eisenberg thing is if it turns out that the New Gods or that Darkseid or somebody has been fucking with his brain, and then replace Eisenberg with a better actor. But that would make me forgive if they use that as an explanation of why he's so manic and crazy. Now, the Flash time travel thing, I think that's another thing that people should get excited about.
I think that went over people's heads on that aspect, is what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I know with one of the people that I went to, she wanted to know who was that, and I pointed out that's Flash.
Yeah, it took me a second because I wasn't sure at first either, but he's got a helmet, metal helmet kind of thing, but underneath it you can actually see his Flash mask, and I think it's exciting because it's like, oh, we get to see the Flash, and they're alluding to the whole like he's going to be using time travel abilities at some point, so that's cool. Now the guy that we're assuming that's a future Flash. I think we're also kind of hoping with the way Superman is that we'll get kind of a Injustice story or the Justice Lords type of thing going on. If we get to go back to that possible future again and see maybe some other Justice Leaguers as a bad guys in a way, or this Justice Lords, you know.
Yeah, and this just alludes to a whole nother point, and that is that this movie is part of a bigger puzzle.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I am not going to say this is a great film. It was not the best superhero film. It's not the best Superman or Batman, film. But it is a good film. We feel like it's a good film. I also don't feel like it's a standalone film, though. I feel because of how much is going on and what happens in it, it's more like an episode of a larger thing. It's part of a bigger story, okay? This film is only a piece of a much larger cinematic puzzle. So before you judge too much and what's going on in this film, I feel like we all should wait and see how Justice League Part 1 and yes, even Justice League Part 2 turn out. If those two films turn out to be shit, then I will come back and say, okay, now I don't think this film turned out so good. But one of the things that I really enjoy about this film, what I really liked about Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, is that it's setting up for so many things that can happen. And it's got me excited for what they can and hopefully will get to see them do with the DC Cinematic Universe.
I know, I am charged about this. I have been waiting for DC to catch up and start pumping out their own stuff to compete with Marvel. I mean, it's exciting to see that all this comic book genre is out there for us finally.
Mm-hmm.
It's growing up, it was, we had a few of the old TV series like Flash from the 90s that, they're good in their own aspect, but come on!
Yeah.
We've been waiting for this stuff.
Something that was taken seriously and that we can see that is going to turn into a big thing. So, like I said, Justice League Part 1 and Justice League Part 2, it's really up to those two films to make this film make sense. And I honestly, I'm going to call this right now and say this prediction of mine, and I'm really hoping that we can come back to this video in the future and I can be like, I predicted that. I'm predicting this. I think if the Justice League movies turn out to be good, both Part 1 and Part 2, I believe if those movies turn out to be good, a lot of these people that are saying boo to Batman vs. Superman will come back and be like, oh, that was a great classic film, or that was a good film to start to these films, and that film's really important and crucial for these films.
You hear that, DC? The ball's in your court.
Final spoiler! Here's the final spoiler, okay? The big thing at the end that I didn't see coming either, okay? And let me set you up for this one, alright? So, there's a scene where Superman has to jump into like this basically pool or whatever, and he has to go get this fucking kryptonite spear because for some reason, Lois Lane can't go down there.
What's in his mind? It's a spear of kryptonite.
Yeah, so he jumps down in, and he grabs the spear of kryptonite, and he pulls himself out, and we're just like, why the fuck didn't he get Batman to do it, or somebody else to do it? Why did he go do it? He's just hurting himself. Nearly kills himself, but he manages to pick it up, and then he flies towards Doomsday, the spear towards Doomsday. Once again, I'm thinking, why the fuck doesn't he get away from it and try and give it to Wonder Woman, and let Wonder Woman spear fucking Doomsday? And then once he spears Doomsday with it, Superman is weakened because he's so close to the fucking kryptonite. Doomsday spears Superman, a very weakened Superman, and then kills Superman. We gotta see a death of Superman. Now, up until that point, I was like, what the hell's going on in this scene? I think this is poorly planned out. But I saw what the outcome was. The point was to kill Superman and do a death of Superman. And I was like, okay, alright, cool. We get to see a death of Superman. I kind of like that.
That's electric that they included a whole nother comic book story in a comic book story.
Yeah. I thought it was very entertaining. Now, what will make it better, I feel, is if the movie, the Justice League movie, Superman stays dead. I mean, because we all know he's not. Come on. Even if the fucking rocks did come up off his coffin at the end of the movie, we all know he was going to come back. He's Superman. Anyways, nobody stays dead in the comics. Anyways, I think that he should stay dead, quotes, for a majority, if not the whole first Justice League movie. And then have him come back right at the end or something like that.
Because let's face it, for Justice League, they've always got the main man they can fall back on. Different story.
Yeah, he's talking about Lobo. Now, Superman's death, I think, would mean more if they leave him dead for majority of the Justice League movie. I think it will have a deeper impact if he stays dead. Well, and I don't mean like, oh, Superman's dead, but Clark Kent is walking around pretending, and he's just like, oh yeah, Superman's dead. No, I think everybody should just think he's dead, and we don't fucking see him. I like this version of Superman. I'm not saying we shouldn't see him because of I don't like him. I'm saying we shouldn't see him because I feel like it will have more meaning to the story.
Well, Batman and Wonder Woman need the motivation to make a Justice League at this point. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the movie, they even foreshadowed that.
Yes. And it kind of shows, like, one discussion we had was Batman becoming kind of the leader, or Batman being one of the ones to put together this group, or help put together a group of superheroes. That's another one of those things that was kind of uncharacteristic, because Batman he joined the group, and he on and off kind of leads it just because that's how Batman is. But he also likes to be solo a lot. So him kind of being like, yeah, we should get together with these other guys, doesn't usually make sense. Although, in this case, it does. Because of the whole, he feels like he failed Superman. So because of Superman's death, it leads to him feeling kind of bad about it and wanting to get other superpowers together. I don't know if I'm explaining it the best, but it does make sense.
It does.
So in conclusion, the film overall gets 1 out of 5 bombs because of Eisenberg. And we do believe that this was a good film overall. And we do believe that you should go see it if you haven't seen it already and watch this whole thing.
There's a lot of rewatchability for this movie. I'm excited for the Blu-ray copies, for the special features and the director commentary. It was a great movie. And I'm Hyperactive.
And I'm Grenado.
And we are the ShellShock Society Show.
Stay explosive.